so excited to have these two amazing beauties on this episode. So we have Miss Natalie Bonner and Miss Shana Burney. They both own local independent CBD shops right here on the coast, and they are both very dear friends of mine. Natalie is an amazing mentor of mine, and so I can't gush enough about the two of them. They're both extremely busy, so I'm very grateful that they took the time to share their knowledge and experiences in the CBD cannabis world and how those things can have a positive impact on people with disabilities. So, Miss Natalie, Nat, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Hello, lovies, in my Angie voice. Well, I'm so happy and actually so grateful to be here with you ladies. I really appreciate you giving Shane and I an opportunity to share our voice with you about the amazing efficacies of cannabis and who we are and our business. I'm Natalie Bonner. I am co-owner of Champagne Art and CBD on Howard Avenue in Biloxi. That's 989 Howard Avenue in Biloxi. And we are a wellness gallery. Um, Independently, I own Blue Lotus Creations, and that is the area of within Champagne Art and CBD where we carry a host of wellness products, cannabis-related products, THC, non-THC, CBD, as well as other nootropics and nutraceuticals. So I love talking to people about cannabis. I love uh, helping with a better understanding of the efficacy, what individuals want to mitigate. And I'm just so excited to be a part of the cannabis industry, this community, and just overall wellness. It's part of self-care. And I know, Angie, you're really big on self-care, and cannabis could be a very integral part of your self-care once you get past the stigmas or the misinformation. So thank you for having me here, and I just welcome this lively conversation.
Yes, good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you so much. All right, Miss Shana, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself and Blue Organic?
All right, awesome. Of course, I'm Shana Burney, co-owner of Bleu Organic, along with my husband Arthur. Um, and I pride myself in Bleu Organic because it's very different. Like just like with Natalie, it's different than just walking into your regular CBD store, but it's an experience. It's a lounge where you can come in, you can hang out, you can watch the games. We offer a lot of a variety of USDA certified organic CBD products that are used from everything from pain, stress, anxiety, insomnia. Um, One of the reasons why we got started because I have a best friend that suffers from petit mal seizures, which is a condition of epilepsy, and that is kind of one of the reasons how we got started. But also in our store we offer a lot of infused beverages. That's kind of our thing with different slushies. And now I also have a patent pending sweet tea and lemonade beverage that we've been producing. So I love being in this realm because I started out with healthcare. My first healthcare job was actually on a mobile dental unit, and then from there I went to working in the emergency department, satellite clinics, and things like that, and it just kind of snowballed into me working, and being a servant in cannabis. And so it is kind of, the same thing, whether I'm in healthcare or where I'm doing cannabis, it's all related to helping someone improve their health. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. Can't wait to see how everything unfolds. And this is a conversation that we definitely need to have with individuals that are definitely, uneducated in this space and misinformed.
And really, I would venture to say the majority of people are either uneducated or misinformed because there's been so many scare tactics and so on. And now, with it kind of flooding the market in so many different ways, both legally, as far as medically, but then also the different things that they're coming up with, there's even more confusion, misunderstanding, and I personally know the value. I am luckily educated thanks to having two amazing friends who answer all of my questions, no matter what they are, how simple or complex they are, or points me in the right direction if, not their wheelhouse. And so I think maybe the best way to start this conversation, and I'll start with you, Natalie, is to kind of tell us like, what is CBD? Like, and, the basics of how that works. What the heck is it?
Well, basically, everyone is aware of the cannabis plant. And when they hear the term cannabis, and I'm sure Shana gets this too, they think that CBD is different from cannabis, or, cannabis is different from marijuana, or that CBD will give you the psychoactive effect that marijuana gives you. So basically, with CBD, the reason why I know I don't want to bore your audience with all of the history on the war on drugs and the criminalization and disenfranchisement that is surrounding the cannabis narrative. But basically with CBD is it helps to correct bodily dysfunction. It's not a cure for anything, but it helps your body work more optimally. And a lot of people are concerned with getting high. CBD will not get you high. As Shana mentioned, one of the most common uses of CBD is for pain mitigation. That alone, and plus for I'm a baby boomer. I'm a USDA licensed hemp producer, and I created a product called Navera, and it's a topical that helps to mitigate pain. It helps with skin disorders such as eczema, rheumatoid arthritis, neuropathy, bug bites. So it's an all around. So most of the time when you hear people talk about the uses of CBD and what is CBD, CBD is derived from industrial hemp. And what they do is they extrapolate the CBD, the cannabidiol oil, from the hemp plant. There are over 207 now. When I started in this space, there were like 162 cannabinoids that had been identified, but now they're up to, I think, over 207. And CBD is just one of them. And the importance is not just to focus on the CBD for efficacy, which the market does, but CBD works in harmony because our bodies have natural cannabinoids without those that we get from the cannabis plant. So you have to look at not just CBD as your treatment of efficacy, but also to look at CBN and CBG and even THC. CBD has 0.03% THC that's from the hemp plant, and that is pretty much what makes it legal. But you use this, it binds to your endocannabinoid system. All mammals have an endocannabinoid system except for fish. And what happens with CBD is it binds to those systems. It can't bind alone, it needs the THC. So that's why for me, I push, well, both of us, I won't say for me because Shana does the same thing, we push full spectrum products, which help to aid in long lasting efficacy. But one misconception is that it cures something in the body. It doesn't. It helps to mitigate. Most disease, as you know, Angie, is caused by inflammation in the body, and CBD helps to regulate that inflammation in the body. So that's what CBD is. It's of the cannabis plant. It's a sativa L derivative. It comes out of industrial hemp. The reason why we can use it is because it is legal under the 2018 Farm Bill, which is coming up for renewal in 2023. I have to do a political plug here. You have to make sure that you speak to your representatives to ensure that it remains in the 2023 Farm Bill that's coming up. And because it truly is medicine, not everyone wants to use marijuana, which has some amazing properties. I know we'll talk about that later, but it's more acceptable to utilize CBD, even though it has a minute amount of THC, because you can never extrapolate all the THC out of the cannabis plant. A lot of people are misinformed thinking that because they use a broad spectrum product that they're not using THC, but you can never extract, unless it's synthetic. From a natural occurring plant, you can't. So I'll give it back to you. I hope I answered the question, and it's just an amazing plant medicine that our bodies were designed to utilize.
Thank you, Natalie. That was so informative. I already am excited because I'm learning, just learning so much just from, being with you ladies. So this question I wanted to ask Shana, Because like Angela said, there's a lot of, misunderstanding, like just misconceptions behind, cannabis and like the benefits of CBD. And there's still confusion that, CBD makes you high, but just like Natalie said, it doesn't. And I actually learned this recently, how there are legal forms of, THC, such as, Delta 8, Delta 10. Would you be able to talk more about, Shayna, and talk about mainly like what the differences are between like CBD and legal THC?
Right. So of course the major differences of CBD and THC is the concentration of, THC. Like CBD has to be legally cultivated to contain less than, the 0.3%. So which is not enough, to get you high or anything like that, but it's just enough for you to have the benefit of the whole plant. Because sometimes, depending on what you're using, CBD for, it may not just do exactly what you want, but whenever you add just that small percentage of THC, now it's able to work, synergetically and help produce the, the relief or the desire that you're, trying to get to. Um, in reference to the delta 8, it's just one of the different, cannabinoids. So like THC is delta 9 and delta 8 is like on the spectrum right before, you get to delta 9 THC. So you get some of, the same effects or benefits that you would get with regular, just THC as marijuana, but kind of in a milder form. Um, and so I always tell people like all of cannabis products, they kind of all do the same thing. It just kind of depends on how you want, to consume it. Like some people may not like the taste of oils and things like that. So maybe they'll get, soft gel capsules or gummies or different things along the spectrum. Like us, we try to provide different products or whatever, like beverages or sweet treats like cakes and things like that, or honey or things like that, so that you can get what you want and in a more entertaining format, because everyone likes to be entertained. But like Natalie was saying, there's so many different cannabinoids on the plant, and they all have their separate benefits, and just kind of depends on how you want to consume it.
So with Delta 8, Delta 10, THCP, all of those things, those are technically legal even in states that don't have like a medical marijuana legality or what have you. But they can give you that euphoria, so to speak, right?
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to think of how I'm trying to ask this question. Are there things that the average person who isn't very experienced, who may not be going to Bleu Organic, where they're going to get top-notch information, are there things that they should know to be aware of, like dosage, or what a person, like maybe this isn't a good fit for you, Beth, maybe you should, choose something a little bit different. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I always tell people like, all CBD is not created equal. And I always stress like I wouldn't go, I'm not bashing, anyone else, but I wouldn't go to the gas station like to get my CBD products. I would go to an actual store where I can go in, I can ask questions. And like the good rule of thumb is just always to start low and slow. If you're trying something for the first time, like even you're trying a gummy for the first time, like me personally, I have a super low tolerance. I'm not going to eat the whole gummy or whatever. I'm going to, cut it in my pores, and I will microdose myself, because everyone's tolerance is different. Even if, you're smoking regular marijuana on a daily basis, you will have different effects, if you eat an edible, because it lasts longer in your system as it metabolizes. So even smoking cannabis is not the same as eating cannabis in a gummy form or anything like that. And even compared to a lot of the legal THC, like Marinol. Marinol is a drug that, they give cancer patients. It still won't have the same effects that you will have whether you're smoking marijuana or cannabis. I won't say marijuana because that's just one thing. But whether you're smoking cannabis or eating it in a gummy, So there's all like, just different forms. And you definitely have to be educated on like the direction that you want to go. And mostly because I will say, like using some of our customers as an example, they would come in, maybe wanting to get some gummies or things like that. And I would tell them like, hey, I don't know your tolerance. I want you to start low and slow so that you have a positive, cannabis experience. And most of them don't listen or whatever. And so when they come back, that will deter them from ever trying it again because they've had, an undesirable effect. Instead of receiving the information, for what it is and actually practicing the advice that I gave you instead of, doing what you want.
Yeah, and what's important is like as Shana mentioned, microdosing, but also, we like to also ask you, what are you trying to mitigate with that usage? You mentioned Delta 8, Delta 10, THCV, CHCVO. Now, some of those are not, they are naturally occur in the plant, but they're synthesized in a lab where they are genetically modified. But one of the things, like for example, we're 4 women on here. Women are very sensitive to THC. So you have more women who experience anxiety and paranoia as a result of indulging in marijuana. But a lot of women can receive that overall feeling of wellness when they use a CBD product with with a little bit of THC, a Delta 9, for example. But the most important thing, and as Shane has mentioned, going into a gas station, is that that customer doesn't have the opportunity to share with the retailer what they are trying to mitigate. And because of this growing, booming market, more and more specific terpenes are being induced to create an experience. For example, in our store, we have tinctures formulated specifically for happiness, specifically for pain management, specifically for soothing of ailments. So, and we all know, well, not we all know, but just so the audience knows, is the best ways to take cannabis is for, if you're using it definitely for medicinal purposes, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, is to tincture. And that's a dropper under your tongue, holding it for 30 to 60 seconds. I prefer 60 seconds, and not to drink anything afterwards for about 10 minutes, because it allows it to go directly into the bloodstream where it starts binding to those endocannabinoid receptors. You have CB1 and CB2 receptors in your body, and your CB2 receptors run from the top of your head down your spine. Your CB1, and there's some CB2 receptors that run throughout the body, but they start, your pain mitigators are your CB2. So they start binding to those neurological receptors and giving you relief. From your pain, from the aches and pains of, say, fibromyalgia, shakes from Parkinson. So you have to sit down, as Shana said, and educate them, find out what they are trying to mitigate. Angie, like you said, some people just want I know for me in the business, I now have more people who are coming in for that psychoactive effect. We all live in a very stressful world. I don't care how accomplished you are, how much money you have, or if you're downtrodden, you still are experiencing life stress. I'm a woman of color. All of us, most of us are women of color, and people of color, we walk around in a state of PTSD every day, irrespective of how accomplished we are. So cannabis can help you with the stress of everyday living, to remain calm, not be as reactive as you typically would be, and just to help you mitigate life. Is it the answer? Some people don't want to use marijuana, and I know this will be another episode, cannabis in any form, because they've grown up on that dogma. But there are other plant medicines that can help them, like herbal medicines, to include mushrooms. I know everyone is seeing the rise in mushrooms, and so we actually brought those in because our military people can't, unfortunately, not right now, they can't use CBD, but there are mushrooms that can give them those same focused and calming effects, where they don't have to worry about being failing their drug tests. So they're complementary. They work in an entourage setting, and that's exactly how cannabis and all the cannabinoids with cannabis, it's the entourage effects that make us well. And for those who want to occasionally, like myself, want to indulge in a little psychoactive experience before girls' night, then I will engage. And Delta 8's not my favorite. I love Delta 9. And microdosing is just best. Shana mentioned gummies, not or beverages. She has a beverage. The one she has patent pending is called Pink Panties. It's amazing. It's really good to drink, and it doesn't hit you to the point where you're feeling uncomfortably high, which leads me to say, if you ever find yourself, if you've engaged in full Delta 9 or Delta 10 or Delta 8, and if you find yourself uncomfortably high, just keep some CBD in your pocket or in your purse so that if you're uncomfortable, you can take CBD and it'll bring you down to a level that's comfortable and manageable for you. So all of these people will find a way. So federal government, you're telling me that getting high is illegal? Okay, you said that the industrial hemp plant is now legal, and we found ways to manipulate those cannabinoids to give us that psychoactive effect. So people are no longer, just using CBD, they are enjoying the effects of other cannabinoids like Delta 9, Delta 8, Delta 10, C6A. That's another one, 10, 6A, 6A, 10V. I just got some gummies in with that. And the new rave, and I'm going to hush after this, is the new THCV for weight loss. Oh my God, I have 2 customers that came into the store, and even using cannabis, they use 1 gram of cannabis in a smoothie, and she's lost over 100 pounds. Wow. So you can put it in your food, you can drink it. It's not about smoking and indulging simply for pleasure. It really does help the body function more optimally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fascinating. It's and like with anything new that's popping up, you're going to have some really incredible developments, and then you're going to have some downfalls, right? And so the gas station CBD to me is kind of the downfall. And we really have to be mindful that this is essentially medicine. It's natural, it's good for you, but it's medicine. And do you really want to shop at a place like that, or just jump online and buy something without consulting with someone who is educated? Or do you want to do it the right way?
And you just can't let price be a deterrent in whether or not you want to buy this medicine, because my analogy is good CBD, all CBD is not good, and good CBD is not cheap.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I found it fascinating when you first told me that taking CBD after having imbibed on THC and feeling like you need to maybe bring it down a notch, that it cancels each other out. And so I think that piece of information can be really helpful for those who are nervous, because you hear these sometimes inflated stories about someone who should have eaten half an edible and ate a whole one, and then they called 911 or whatever it may be. And so you don't have to worry about that. Just have some CBD, have a couple CBD gummies handy, and when you start to feel like I'm not comfortable in my skin right now, take a couple of CBD gummies, and then you'll start to feel a little bit.
Please listen to the person who is telling you, like Shana said. I have an experience where a customer came into my shop and, I smoke loud. That's a strain of weed, everyone, all the time. And I had some Delta 9 gummies, and I asked him, I said, only do 1. And he was here at the Beau Rivage at a dinner meeting at Ruth Chris. His wife had 1, followed the instruction. He decided that this CBD lady doesn't know anything, and he had 2. He passes out at the table at Ruth Chris. They call paramedics. He ends up in the hospital, guys, no joke. He wakes up like, what the heck am I doing here? And he looks over at his wife and says, you know what we did, let's get out of here. So follow the instructions that are given. if you're working with, if you come into either Blue Organic or Blue Lotus or Champagne Art and CBD, Blue Lotus Creations, and listen to us because we have taken the time to educate ourselves. And like I said, we don't know everything, but we know enough to at least guide you into finding out more as you learn your dosing, your preferred dosing. If you learn what works for you, um, I love gummies. I love to drink. I'm not a smoker, but I'm learning to smoke now that I'm learning. We can talk about vaping now, Angie, because you know that's an easy way. People love to vape, and smoking is the second best way. We talked about tincturing earlier being the number one way to use it, but smoking is the second best way to use it because it gets into the lungs and then disperses out throughout the body. But you have to be careful because I'm learning that vapes are now, even no matter how clean it is, you can extract cannabis through ethanol, through acetone, which you probably don't want to, or now rosin. The heat press extraction is like the far best way to create your oils. But they're finding that the doctors are finding that even though it's really clean meds, you're still getting medical particles when you use a vaporizer. So I am leaving the oil and I'm transitioning myself over to, and I love the oil because I love, I mean, the vapes because of the fruity flavors, you know, but moving over to dry herbs. So a dry herb vaporizer is now my choice when I want to smoke flower. And that lessens me from intaking medical particles, which the doctors are finding. They're kind of like forever chemicals that never leave your body. So you just have to choose which method works best for you.
Could you talk about this question? Either Shana or Natalie can answer. Could you talk about like the work that you've experienced with people with disabilities and what you've seen throughout, you know, the time that you work with them, and like what benefits have they um shared, like what you've seen?
Shani, do you want to go first since I just rattle on a little bit?
Sure,
And
sure.
then I'll answer after.
Absolutely. One of my most favorable benefits of using cannabis is we have about three people that we met when we first opened Blue Organic that was, addicted to opioids and things like that. And just to see how they have transitioned themselves or whatever from using opioids to using CBD products to getting their kids back that was taken from them. And that just, I'm getting teary eyed. That is just the most rewarding thing in being in cannabis or whatever, because you're able to impact so many lives. And people on the outside looking in, they think, oh, well, you're just selling weed. It's the same thing. But it's not. It's not. You're really changing people's lives. Even us meeting this lady that was at the cannabis festival. She was at the cannabis festival. She bought some of our, topical pain creams, and she was on a little motorized scooter at the cannabis festival. However, maybe 2 weeks from that date, she came in to see us and tell us how great it was working, and she walked in. And she was like, oh my gosh, the pain cream, she bought some for her sister and this and that or whatever. So just to see like the impact that you're having on any particular person in their ailment. And that's just the most rewarding thing. It was the same reward as I got with, working in healthcare. And it's the same thing that I'm getting with this, because it's still working in healthcare. And I tell people all the time, they'll talk about, I got to talk to my doctor or this and that. I'm taking this medication. I'll remind them that you do realize that your doctor is practicing medicine. That's the same thing I'm doing. We're both practicing medicine. You just went to school for a long time to get some degrees, and I just studied for a long time to be able to educate you. So, in a nutshell, it's kind of the same thing. It has its differences, I'll say that, but it's kind of the same thing. But the most rewarding is those the customers or clients that come in with this certain thing going on, and you're able to help them mitigate that. And they come in back to tell you, their success story and how you help them from this moment to this, or how they was struggling in grad school, and you didn't even know that they were in school, and your products were able to help them, you know, stabilize their anxiety and get through testing and this and that. And so that's one of the things I love about this, because you don't really know sometimes how you're impacting someone until they sit down, and tell you their stories.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Shana is saying, my passion point and the people that have come into my shop and that I work a lot with is Mothers for Autism, and they are great advocates of the use of cannabis. There's a Texas-based group, and I would love to talk about you because I talk to you because I think we need to open up a chapter here in the state of Mississippi. It's Mothers Advocating for Medical Marijuana for Autism, and what they have found is that with autistic children, my store manager, Melissa, her daughter is autistic, high functioning autism. She's not audible all the time, but when she is utilizing CBD, she's audible. And having a group like Mothers for Autism, and not only that, Asperger's, ADHD, as you mentioned, it is great to allow those brain firings to calm down enough where you can have a focused thought, where you can articulate all of the words that are bouncing around in your head. So that's really, really important, because those children who may not be able to, they're special needs, and we're all about helping that community, and getting and allowing them to be to function in what, I mean, there's no such thing as normal in my opinion, but what they have labeled as normal functioning within society. Because, cannabis for creatives. I love to see autistic children who are on a regimen of cannabis, how their creativity flourishes. And we all know that this whole movement with CBD started with Charlotte, who was suffering from seizures repeatedly. And her family used cannabis to help better her quality of life. It didn't add to the longevity, but while she was here, it helped her live a more manageable, pain-free, seizure-free life. That was one of the reasons Haley, here in the state of Mississippi, Haley's Hope is what started it all here, is that it helped her with the numerous seizures. Because parents in Georgia, I remember when I was in Georgia and I was working in cannabis, parents would have to drive to states and cross states line, risk getting arrested for drug trafficking because they simply wanted medicine to help their children. They wanted RSO oil. Me, myself, and for anyone out there, if you're ever diagnosed with cancer, the first thing I would do is start ingesting rather, I'm sorry, RSO oil, the purest form of cannabis resin. So we're helping the children, as they say, and not to sound cliche, but they are our future, and anyone who has a physical ailment. Now, everyone can't take cannabis, and I'm not going to say all pharmaceuticals should be demonized, because there is a need for certain pharmaceutical medicines. But if you are taking cannabis, I ask you, if you're using CBD or THC oil, I do ask you to make sure you know the derivatives of your medicine, because if you're taking a medicine that has a grapefruit derivative, you should not be using CBD, especially if it's a life-saving medicine for you, like for heart rhythm or for your heart disease. You should stay away from cannabis products because they will mitigate the effects of that life-saving medicine for you. So once again, you have a conversation. As Shana mentioned, you won't go to your doctor may not, some doctors are advocates because they're learning more and more, but they're barely taught the endocannabinoid system in medical schools. And that's not just pure conjecture on my behalf. I talk to a lot of doctors. I don't know, I recommend everybody follow the Knox doctors. And I was talking to Dr. Rachel Knox, and she talks about how in medical school, this family is dedicated, it's 5 of them, to cannabis therapy and medicine. Dr. Felicia Dawson out of Georgia as well. But they can help, people like that can help you understand if you're concerned, especially in my age group. They're not going to listen to a millennial. They're not going to listen to a Gen Xer. They barely listen to another baby boomer. We grew up on that whole analogy of what the doctor says. So if you find a doctor that is pro-cannabis, that's the kind of doctor you want to talk to, because he's going to look at your healthcare from a holistic perspective for a overall well-being, not using his that's the true gateway. You hear cannabis is a marijuana is a gateway drug. To me, the true gateway is that doctor's medicine pad, because he writes one prescription, it creates a problem in the body, he has to write another prescription, and you end up taking 10 to 12 prescriptions to mitigate a problem that could be solved with plant medicine if properly used, and if the condition is properly diagnosed.
Yeah. I was actually going to say just that is, doctors, Shana said, we're in the same business, and you are essentially, you're in a wellness business, but doctors benefit from sick people while you too benefit from well people. And so that's something to always keep in mind. And then also the side effects that can come with some of these medicines. My kids have had ADHD, ODD, autism. We've tried a variety of different medicines and have had a variety of different side effects that have not been pleasant. And CBD has worked rather well for many of their situations. Also wanted to elaborate on the grapefruit thing, because that is something that everybody should be aware of, is the impact that just simply eating grapefruit can have on some medicines, and because it can be dangerous. And then also, if you are taking either CBD or THC in any form and you are going under the knife, then be very honest with your doctor about it. I know that there can be a fear of like, what are you taking? And you don't want to tell them, especially if it's not legal or whatever. But there are stories where the ways that it can affect anesthesia, and you not want to wake up in the middle of a surgery.
Definitely.
So that's just something that made me think of that. And I know that we're getting close to wrapping up, so I'm going to let Samyukta ask one more question, and then we'll start to wrap it up.
Yeah, so as we wrap up, I feel like this conversation can go like for more than an hour. There's just so many things we could talk about, so many benefits. And what else can you say, like, for people with disabilities on if they want to, start the journey and find out, what's best for them in terms of CBD? Because like you said, everyone's different. This substance affects people in different ways. Taking a little versus taking a lot. Like the important thing is listening to your body, and what works for one person may not work another. And because there's a variety of disabilities, invisible and visible, what do you say to someone who wants to start that journey?
I would say do your research. I would tell them to talk to someone experienced and knowledgeable. Shane and I, or there are some there are a lot of, I won't say a lot, but there are some CBD stores, to include Shana's store as well, and mine, Bleu Organic and Blue Lotus Creation, Champagne Art and CBD, who truly are in this space to educate, who have some amazing products for you to utilize. And it's not a one size fit all, right? Everyone's body is different, but we all need neuroprotectors. And that's what CBD is. It's a neuroprotector. Plant medicine, we all have natural occurring cannabinoids in our body, and we're simply trying to use cannabis to enhance the efficacies of those. So just contact someone. You can contact me, Angie, and I don't want to butcher your name. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. They all have
Samyukta.
We'll have our contact information, and like Angie said, don't be afraid to talk to someone about your desire to utilize cannabis as a medicine alternative. It's your body. Take control of the choice you're making to put what in your body, and choose plant medicine. And if CBD isn't for you, cannabis-derived medicines aren't for you because of your personal convictions, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to believe what you believe about cannabis, but garner your beliefs on facts, right? There may be another plant medicine that works best for you. Kratom is an amazing plant medicine. It has some tremendous efficacies. It's under attack, just like cannabis was under attack years ago. Here in the state of Mississippi, um, they're trying to outlaw it, make it illegal, criminalize it further, when it's great for people who are opioid addicted. It helps to wash the dopamine, dopamine receptors. If you're transitioning off of alcohol, for my customers, I give them kratom. I love the Red Valley. I love the Green Merino, because it really helps with people who are transitioning from alcoholism and heroin use, opioid addiction. So there isn't a one method, but there are tons of plant medicines that can help you mitigate the problems that you're experiencing without having to destroy your liver, your kidney function. You have to just think about that. So I employ you to educate yourself on holistic alternatives, wellness alternatives, plant medicine, if it's not cannabis, which I truly believe is the queen of the plant medicine, but look at other ones as well.
Shana, I wanted to ask you something to kind of clarify a lot of what we've said. I realize we haven't really given much to go on. We keep saying, don't go to the gas station to buy your CBD. But Shana, how can an average Joe or Jane tell the difference between, I mean, the gas station's obvious, right? But there are a lot of other shops that look that they're I don't want to say look legit, because they are legit, but the cashier may just really be a cashier and not an actual informed individual. So how can the average person, walking into one of those shops, know the difference between Bleu Organic, Blue Lotus, Champagne Art CBD, and XYZ?
Right. So definitely let me clarify that, because I'm not saying don't go to the gas station because they have horrible CBD products. They may have great products. They may have some of the products that we offer here. But a lot of times they don't have someone that's educated on those products or can explain that product to you, or can suggest, like if you're dealing with headaches or menstrual cramps, and this may be the thing that you need. So it's not that they don't have great products. It's more so they don't have time. Like, they're trying to get you in and out or whatever, so they really don't have time to sit there and educate you on this particular product or this particular thing. So not to bashful say they don't have great products. I mean, I'm sure they do. What some of them do, but they just don't have the time to educate you on that particular product. And I love that Natalie said, like, it's your body, take control. Because yes, you should definitely go to your physician and say, like, hey, I've been trying this medication, it's not working for me, but I want to try this thing. And that is, I have so many reasons that I got into cannabis, but that is one of the reasons why I was taking, my anxiety is ridiculous or whatever. And I was taking all kinds of different medications for my anxiety. And I would go to my physician, I would tell him that, hey, I don't like the way, this one makes me feel, or this one makes me sleepy, or this one makes me kind of off balance. And he would just like increase the dose. Oh, you just need more. And I was like, no, dude, I don't want more. I want you to help me, fix this. And so I kind of, started my own research. And that was maybe about 3.5 years ago. And that's whenever I started learning, about CBD. And that was one of the things, like, it was almost like it was this invisible God in my in my sense or whatever. It was something that was not, even talked about. And, as I done, more research, I'm like, this has been around for years. And if it wasn't for slaves, we wouldn't have any here or whatever. And so just realizing, doing my research, and how far that, what I'm saying, it went back. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But you were, talking about, the gas station is kind of the reason why I got into it, because I wanted to take control of my own health. I didn't want to continue using, the pharmaceuticals, and realized that my husband was actually, his auntie used to send him this pain cream when when he was, being a barber in a repetitive motion was sitting in carpal tunnel. And we didn't realize the years later, oh my gosh, that's why it worked so good because it had CBD in it. And that's just using it, and you're not even reading, you don't even know or being informed of what you're actually rubbing on your body and why it works so well. But going back to, yes, taking control of your own health, asking the questions, whether you're talking to your physician. Natalie was talking about, the grapefruit juice. One of the main reasons why you should stay away from CBD if you're taking a medicine that tells you to avoid grapefruit juice is because it either increases or decreases the metabolism of that drug. So say if you're taking something, for blood pressure and you're taking CBD products or something for cholesterol, a lot of cholesterol medicines tell you to stay away from, CBD. You may have too much of that drug in your system at one time or not enough. And that can lead to, an overdose of that medication because it's not metabolizing correctly. So yeah, that's the thing, taking control over your own health, being informed, learning of the different medications that you're taking. A lot of people don't even know a lot of the medications or the information behind the medications that they're taking. They can't pronounce them. They don't know the side effects. They actually don't understand why they're taking them, what time they should be taking them, what medicines they shouldn't take with them. And that was a thing that I stressed to my mom after she had her stroke years ago. She would go to the doctor and they would give her all these different medications. And she would come home to me like, hey, Shana, what is all of this? Why didn't you ask your doctor this? And sometimes we're scared to question our doctor.
Yeah.
As if, we're supposed to just take whatever they're giving us. And I'm like, no, you should ask your doctor this. They should be able to explain why you're taking this and why you shouldn't take that. And that's the same thing with cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't buy from someone that can't tell you what this is, how it's derived, and what are the benefits and why you should be taking it.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on something that Shana said, when she mentioned her mother. It's very important for all of us, anyone who is going to see their doctor or medical professional or herbalist. You have to be your own advocate, but it's also very important to have a health advocate in your corner. My sister's a nurse. Every doctor appointment that my father goes to, I take him so that I can help him understand as I don't know, what's the generation before baby boomers, help him understand. And also I question the things that the doctor is saying and research. So Angie, as you're saying that if someone doesn't come into Bleu Organic, someone doesn't come into Blue Lotus Creations, Champagne Art and CBD, or my friend Michael, he owns my CBD hub, go in there educated. Take the time to know why you are going into that store, that gas station. My problem, I'm not as gracious as Shana about gas station CBD. My problem with gas station CBD is, one, it's mostly hemp oil, and two, it comes out of China, and three, they do not have certificates of analysis. So I'm going to say, do not go into a gas station and buy your CBD. It may be cheaper, but you really don't know what you're getting. You could be getting spice. You could be getting a product derived out of China. So I'm going to say to you, please don't go to a gas station to get your CBD.
And for those of you who don't remember, spice is the synthetic that would cause people to eat other people's faces. So that's something you really want to avoid.
Right. It's a great way to put it.
Wow, thank you so much, ladies, for your time today and for just like really like being open about, CBD and just like being so great. I learned so much, like just being with you all, and also the the importance of being honest with your body, and just doing that research, and how it's still we definitely want to keep like our the medical doctors informed, and but also like talk to them, question, like don't just take everything what you hear, do your research and listen to your body. So as we wrap up, as we close out, are there any final words from either of you, and how our viewers can get in touch with you?
Yes, I just want to leave saying just empower yourself. And the best way to empower yourself is with knowledge. I'm at Champagne Art and CBD, Blue Lotus Creations Wellness Emporium. We are located at 989 Howard Avenue, downtown Biloxi. Everyone loves Jacked Up Coffee Bar. After you have your mocha latte, just walk on over to Champagne Art and CBD, and we can finish off your Saturday morning or Tuesday through Friday with a glass of champagne with purchase. I learned my lesson when I first opened that people would just come and drink the champagne. But I would love to sit down and talk to you more, because I created a space where my focus is baby boomers. I love all my customers, but I wanted to create an environment that was very comfortable for them to talk to me. I can talk to them and share my stories about how best to incorporate cannabis into their daily lives.
Shana?
Oh, sorry. So definitely you can find us at 820 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Suite B in downtown Biloxi. We're right behind the Sanger Theater. We have our website, bleuorganic.com. That's BLEU organic.com. You can find tons of information under our Learn tab at the top of our website. We go back from, the beginning of hemp, teaching you the history and the origin of cannabis on into now. And we have, a lot of information on different products and different ailments that you will be taking CBD products for. If you have, any additional questions about, any of our products, or just to sit down and see, kind of what works for you, you can always give us a call at 228-967-7200. We're always happy to help. And just like for everybody, even, with myself, I want your journey, your cannabis journey, to be, a happy one and a desirable one. And that comes with being informed and being educated. And, that's what I'm here to help you achieve.
That is awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. Like we said, we could have gone on for much longer, but we know that we need to keep it short for my attention span and probably some of our viewers as well. I love both of you, all three of you, very much, and grateful that y'all took the time to inform our audience and share your wealth of knowledge and passion in the CBD world. All of that information will be in the comments and the description, so you guys can connect with them. Even if you're not local, they do ship, so don't hesitate to reach out to them. You can see that they are informed, and you don't want to get your stuff from the gas station. I'm with Natalie and Shana on that as well. So we love all of you. We hope you have the best day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Namaste.